Okay, so hello everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Manish Paliwal and I'm the department chair for Department of Mechanical Engineering. This is Mechanical Engineering Alumni Panel, and we have wonderful alumni with us. We have Emily, we have Brian, and we have Chris with us, and who would carry along with the question and answer session and also answer the questions that you may have for us at this point. Uh, I've been here for the last 14 years. My research interests are in orthopedic biomechanics, uh, Department of Mechanical Engineering. And we have with us Emily. Emily?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Emily Bauer. I graduated from TCNJ in 2007, grew up in South Jersey, as you can see a little bit on my bio, and I work for PSEG Nuclear. Thanks.
Thank you. And you said you were the only engineering major living in a house with 5 education majors.
That's correct. So made certain nights interesting around our house and me trying to go to the library to study or do what I had to do, but it was always fun.
Well, that's nice. Thank you. Chris?
Hey, I'm Chris Civitello. Currently, I work for Lockheed Martin Aeronautics out in Fort Worth, Texas, on the F-35 program. I graduated in 2017, so 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago now. And kind of similar to Emily, I actually had no one in my family was studying or had studied engineering. So definitely was a first for me as well when I was doing it.
Well, that's a news thing that you did and presented a paper at IMEC?
Yes, yeah, and during at sophomore going into my junior year, I did a Muse research assistantship, which is what you can do with all the different professors, and I did that, and we got to get a paper published in the ASME's IMEC conference, and we got to go there as well.
Okay, thank you. Chromatic crunching of a ceramic head. I'm sorry, that's an error. That's an error. Let us correct this error. Chromatic crunching. No. Brian, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Wall. I graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering in 2008. I work for Naval Air Systems Command. I'm a mechanical engineer turned project manager. And my fun fact there is from one of my, I think, freshman classes with Dr. Paliwal. We learned about prosthetics, and the word crunching was used as a technical term. And I'm generally a queasy person, so I thought, oh, I just got to get my way through this class, and I managed to do so, but had a great experience at TCNJ. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So let me give you a quick overview of mechanical engineering department. I'm sorry, Brian, for that queasiness. I'm sorry, my apologies to you for the biomechanics and
no worries.
Yeah, but thank you. So the good thing about our program is this is ABET accredited program, right? So ABET is the gold standard in engineering and technology. And what is mechanical engineering? So here you apply the principles of physics, material science, engineering, and in design, analysis, and manufacturing and maintenance of mechanical systems. So that's what you do. And this is oldest and broadest of the engineering disciplines. And the application is vast, is huge. From the cars to ships to planes to medical devices to renewable energy and all these things that you can think of in defense and more. So vast canvas that mechanical engineering entails. Bureau of Labor Statistics says that the median pay is 87,000 per year, and outlook is very bright. And the top line that you see here, so that's the degrees awarded in mechanical engineering. As you can see, all of the disciplines are here, and mechanical engineering is at the top. This is the ASEE data. It's very popular, so popular that here you can see that the scales, it was out of those scales, right? So the number of degrees awarded. This is mechanical engineering at the top. So this is 2016-17 data from ASEE. Why is it so? It's because you learn here the basic foundations, mechanics, materials, fluids, dynamics, and control systems, and apply them into so many different areas. You can apply in imaging, you can apply in biomechanics. I am a mechanical engineer. My PhD is mechanical engineering, but my postdoc studies are in orthopedic surgery, so that I can apply my skills in totally different areas. So in acoustics, computational science, manufacturing. So you get to make an impact in so many more different areas. That's what makes mechanical engineering so special. Here at TCNJ, you need to take 39 course units to do that. Mechanical engineering design, thermal systems, and dynamic systems are the 3 areas that you will cover, or we cover in our curriculum to get the BS degree in mechanical engineering. And we do that because we have good dedicated faculty members who work closely with our students. You see, these are our faculty. Dr. Alapsi, he is in dynamic systems. Dr. Asper, he has been here for a long time. Dr. Fakas and Dr. Grega in fluid mechanics. Professor Sipapur in design and kinematics. Myself in biomechanics and engineering design. Dr. Shi in operation research. Dr. Wang in manufacturing and robotics, and Dr. Yan in material science. So these are our faculty members. And our students do lots of design, lots of hands-on projects that they get to do in machine shops, in design, in simulations, and they also compete in national and international competition. You can see the smiles, you can see the satisfaction that brings to them, and yeah, and they have fun too. You can see, I don't know what he's trying to do, but definitely the car is robust, as you can tell. Our students do research, and then they go out to present their work in, again, in national international conferences. They publish their work along with their faculty mentors. So here are some images where they are presenting their work at these ASME IMECI conferences in Quebec, in Boston, and other areas. We have top-notch facilities. I think tours are limited so one can visit in virtual fashion, I think, these days. But we have CAD CA programs like SolidWorks ANSYS. These are the industry standards, and we have CNC, rapid prototyping, and other facilities. And moreover, we have this $85 million STEM center that you can see here, which allows open collaborative environments. So that's where mechanical engineering is housed. I'm not sure, Emily, you have been to this new facility. Brian, you? No? The new facility, have you been here?
No, this is all new to me.
This is all new, okay, yeah. And Chris, I think you have been here, right?
Yes, yeah, I have. It's a great facility.
Okay, thank you. And our students, they go to Penn for grad school, Drexel, Brown, and these are the leading universities that they have been to, our graduates, and they are also being hired by these top industries. You can also find your own industry here listed in that list. So certain points of distinctions, we have full-time dedicated faculty. There are no TAs, they're all full-time faculty who teach these small classes and offer a personal individualized attention to each student. So that's our highlight here. And we have design-based hands-on mechanical engineering program. That's what we offer. Industry standard software. That's what students learn. All students take FE exam, all students. And our pass rate is over 80%. So that itself speaks volumes about the quality of the program, quality of the students, and it exceeds national average. We also have summer research opportunities where students can opt for research as a credit. So they can get themselves involved early on, and they get to present in national and international conferences. So with that brief introduction about the program, now we get to our panel discussion. So let me get off with that so that we can all see each other. So now let me begin with questions with you. Let me ask you, what are you most proud of your TCNJ experience? You have spent 4 years here, right? So what are you most proud of? Chris, you want to go?
Sure. Yeah, like I said, it's been pretty recent, right? The last 3 years that I graduated. I would say just the quality of the degree. You've already spoken to it, but I know a lot of friends who went to different schools, and I just felt like, the rigor of coursework and the amount of one-on-one time you had with your professors, it gave you a unique opportunity to really learn. And then the senior design project as well, getting that kind of, you had the technical and the knowledge based, but this getting the application and actually being able to, build something that you designed and then see it through to a competition setting, kind of really does help you out when you get into, a job after graduating and kind of have to, design and go through the whole, implementation process. So that's what I would say.
Okay. Emily?
Sure, I would pretty much just echo what Chris said. I was extremely prepared when I got my first job coming right out of college, and I was just really proud to finish, my degree in 4 years from such a great institution. And I just see TCNJ, doing bigger and better things. And I'm kind of like a little jealous that the students coming in now, all the facilities and the nice things that they have that we didn't have. But I'm just, like I said, I'm just really proud to be an alumni and got to do, things from senior design project to an independent study with Dr. Grega. Just a lot of great opportunities in my time at TCNJ that really prepared me for my career.
Okay, thank you. Brian, you want to go?
Sure. Yeah, I think my favorite part of it pretty much was senior project. Really was a good culmination of everything we learned and applying what you learned to a team project where you got to see it through from design all the way through implementation. And in my case, test as well. I did aero design. So that was really rewarding and echoing everything that was said before me.
Okay, so let us take questions from, so there is a question, Matthew is asking, can you give some insight into your individual senior design projects? So Brian, you can take it. Can you talk about your project?
Yeah, so I touched on my senior project. So each of the engineering students as seniors get to take on a senior project. Sometimes it's individual, sometimes it's in a team. In my case, aero design is a project where you design your own airplane and you compete it with in an international competition. So that was probably my favorite project. It was very rewarding to see that. And we beat out all of the other New Jersey engineering schools. So especially proud of that. But there are some other interesting projects throughout your labs along the way. Mechatronics had some interesting ones. Yeah, over to Emily or Chris.
I'll jump in. We did aero design as well. And what I really liked about the senior project is it's not just the design and engineering heavy part, it's that, but it's also, you're doing like a professional writing at the end. We had to raise funds because we ended up flying to Texas to compete with our plane. So it's like all the things that prepare you for when you have a job, you kind of learn in senior project, not just strictly the design part. And I really enjoyed all those aspects and felt they were really helpful.
Yeah, so actually we all three of us apparently have done the aero design senior project. I thought it was the best one. It would have been nice if we can probably talk about some of the other ones as well. But yeah, no, we got to go to Florida for ours. And like you said, you had to kind of budget out the entire trip, get that approved by the dean. We each took a different, part of the plane, right? The fuselage, the wing, the empennage, the tails, all those kind of things. So you learn like the design process. You do the 3D modeling in CAD. Then you start to actually build it in the machine shop, and then you test it. Like has it been said. So it was a lot of fun. And then when you got to actually see it fly, in the competition, it was kind of like a culmination of kind of all you've done that year, but also over those 4 years. So it's a really good
experience. Beyond senior design project, can you talk about any other projects that you might have done, the design projects or research projects?
Not senior design, you said?
Yeah, beyond senior design project, because all three of you did aero design. That's a coincidence. Even though we picked 17 and 7 and such. So can you talk about any other project that you might have done during the course? Yeah.
I mean, if anyone wants to jump in, I mean, like we said, in some of the labs, you do, a lot of different projects. I can't speak specifically.
Did you do research projects?
For my research, yeah. So my research was in material science with Dr. Yan, and that was a big learning experience for me because material science is very challenging. And so we did, it's called hydrogel molding. So it's hard even to explain, but I mean, basically what I had the opportunity to do was to design, this humidity stage where everything would, get put into there, and then you go through the process of actually doing the work with your professor, and then seeing the results. So I was more on the design side of that versus Dr. Yan kind of spearheaded obviously the material science portion of it.
Excellent. Thank you. How do you know, so Leah is asking, how do you know mechanical engineering was the right type of engineering for you to major? Good question. Yeah. Who wants to take it?
I'll start with that one. For me, it was kind of a process of elimination, and I, to be terribly honest, didn't really know what I wanted to do when I graduated. And it felt to me like mechanical engineering was the most broad and would give me the most opportunities. And I ended up, going to work for PSEG at the nuclear plant, which I can talk about if you guys want as well. But I didn't, civil felt a little, maybe not what I wanted to focus on, and electrical was probably over my head. So I was kind of left with mechanical at that point. And it was a great decision for me, a good fit for me. So.
Yeah, so expanding on what Emily said, interestingly, I was actually accepted at TCNJ for computer science. And the summer before I started, I decided I wanted to make a change. And I knew I was interested in engineering. And I think similar to Emily, I'm a visual person, and conceptually I could understand mechanical engineering. The idea of electrical engineering didn't really fit into what I thought I would be strong at. And teasing my civil engineering friends, I didn't like the idea of playing with dirt. So process of elimination, I love math. I love applying it to practical purposes, and I'm thrilled with the decision I made. Chris?
Yep. And just kind of adding on to what Brian said. So I started in biomedical engineering actually, and I didn't even do it for about a whole year. And it's very mechanical based, but then you also have the electrical component and even the chemical. But, what I learned is that in biomedical, you might kind of need to go and get a master's or a PhD. You get good at a lot of things, but you don't necessarily, master any of them in your 4 years. So for the mechanical, that was what I was strongest in. And I thought that, there was a lot of interesting, fields and industries that I could get into that way. And if I still wanted to go more the biomedical route, I could still do that if I wanted to pursue, that education after. So that's kind of why I did it, and also happy I made that decision.
Okay, thank you. I'm combining questions from Charlie and Janelle. So they're asking that you studied mechanical engineering and you also did a number of projects during the course of your study. So how do they relate to the job that you are doing today? All that thing that you did and you are doing something, how do they connect?
Hey, this is Brian, so I'll take a stab at it first if I can. So a few things. First of all, a lot of the projects we work on, not just your senior project, but working in the labs, you're doing something that's sort of interdisciplinary. So you have an opportunity to work with people across, even outside of mechanical engineering. That's hugely helpful because most projects have those other interactions. Also, just the general experience working in a team is useful to get that experience, because many projects are not just done independently. But then most of the facilities we had access to, and we learned about CNC machining and additive manufacturing, we use those regularly in my current work. So had I not gotten that exposure and education at TCNJ, I wouldn't even know that those were opportunities that I could take advantage of now in my day-to-day work.
Emily?
So for me, my original position at PSEG right out of college was a system engineer at one of our nuclear plants. And so I didn't use aero design necessarily, but I think I'll kind of echo what Brian just said. Learning to work in a group or in a team is huge, once you get into the professional world. And then I think really my engineering degree kind of taught me how to think about things and how to be a problem solver. and I'm saying that very generically, but you're going to come across that really in kind of any career path you take, no matter what, right? And I really think that engineering kind of, having that degree and that background kind of set my mind a certain way to think about things. My current position has really, I have a little bit of a technical basis in my position right now, but it's really not strictly technical. And this is the third position I've had within PSEG. So I'm not really doing anything directly related to engineering right now, but having that degree and that foundation is what kind of opened that path for me to be able to go to that next step.
Yep, and I'll just kind of echo what both of everyone's already said. Having the CNC machining experience for tooling is a big thing. We did labs with a wind tunnel, wind turbine, which helps with obviously the program I'm working on, the F-35. But a lot of the things you're going to learn, like Emily said, is you might not use the all the math and stuff that you learned in advanced engineering math too, but having that background is what gave you the opportunity to get hired by a company that you're going to be able to work on cool projects and programs that give you that opportunity to get manufacturing experience, supply chain, quality, if you wanted to go into those fields too. So that's kind of one of the things that I've been doing. I did a rotational program, and we got to kind of see, more of the business side as well as the engineering side. So, it's opened a lot of doors.
Okay, thank you. So Matthew is asking a question to you, and he's saying that mechanical engineering curriculum is very busy, right? 39 course units, sometimes 5.5 course units. So did you participate any extracurricular activities? Means how was your work-life balance? How do you do that?
I can start with that. So I played club soccer in college, and yeah, so the work-life balancing is something that you have to learn when you're probably high school age, college, and then when you're a professional too, right? You have to kind of always figure out how to, and any one day, school might be more important than seeing your friends, and then it might flip-flop the next day. So I'm not going to say I know the answer because I'm still learning, and I've been graduated since 2007, and now I have, kids and family life that's all kind, I'm trying to juggle. But I wouldn't say it was difficult. I found time for seeing my friends and playing soccer, and still was able to graduate in 4 years and figure it out. So I would say, don't let something like that, kind of the fear of that, deter you, because you look back and it's all worth it, and you make time for what's important in the end.
Thank you. Brian?
Yeah, so I don't know if it's still the case, but I know when I attended, I want to say sophomore year was where we had sort of the peak of one of our busiest semesters. And I think once you kind of get past that hump, you've built the self-confidence, hey, I can do this. I think as you progress through life, even beyond college, you're going to have more and more that you need to balance, especially if you do start a family and participate in things like this outside of your work that are important to you. But it just really comes down to setting your own priorities and learning to manage your own schedule. You're not at home anymore. If you had the advantage of parents or other people helping you, it's your opportunity to prove to yourself that you can balance your own schedule. And you'll know what's important to you, and you'll know how to prioritize your time. Thanks.
Very nice. Chris?
Yeah, and I'll just add, you're going to make a lot of friends that are going to be in the same classes as you. So, you'll have those people kind of influencing you as well to, study, and get the work done when you need to. And I was able to do some extracurriculars as well, be in a fraternity, do like intramural sports. So, it is a lot of work, but, if you manage your time well, like we've said, you'll be able to enjoy your 4 years of college and get a lot, out of them as well. So.
Okay, and I can add to that. I have worked with many students who participated in extracurricular activities. Some were continuous, some played in sports, and they have very demanding and busy schedules. And I found that they really excel in studies as well. And then I used to ask them, means how do you do that? And then they said, means we manage our time well. We know the time is precious for us, and then that's how we address to that. And the one student I worked with at Side Bottom, he worked with me over summer in news programs and such. He conducted marvelous research. He Mark Sidebottom, and he then went on to do his PhD, and now he's a professor at another university. And he did it so well while managing and coaching. He was coming back from Lehigh University where I was doing his PhD, coming back and coaching students here. And I see there are many more examples like that, many more. So it's difficult, but students have been doing that in a remarkable fashion. Okay. Now, there is a question about FE exam. So what does the FE exam consist of, and when do you take this test? So usually you take this test before you graduate. So that's a graduation requirement for us. So before you graduate, you take the test. So passing is not a requirement. We provide a training or the review for the FE exam, which consists of the fundamentals of engineering. So that's what there are about 13 classes that we offer, weekly classes over spring for the full duration of the semester in the evening to our students, so that they get good review of it, and then they excel in the exam and pass the exam. So we make a significant effort along with our students who make an effort, and then also we get good results out of it too. I hope that answered your question. So in their senior year, that's when they take it, and that's what it entails. Okay, so any summer work or study abroad programs you have participated? Anybody?
I had internships before my junior and senior year. I had one internship with Sunoco at a refinery, which was a very interesting experience and kind of it was a good intro to me, because I ended up working at a nuclear plant, which is another very industrial, environment. So that was a good, start for me. And I also interned at a municipal engineering firm. And I ended up having job offers from both of those internships when I graduated. So I would just encourage you, try to do something over the summer like that if you can. And if nothing else, even if you don't want to work there, at least it gives you that experience, and it kind of shows you what you do and don't like. I always, when I do these kind of things, I always say, definitely at least that summer before your senior year, if you can, is really important to try to do some kind of an internship role if possible.
Anybody else?
So I had an internship between my junior and senior year in construction management, so a little outside the ME field, but it actually paid off big time when I was interviewing senior year for full-time positions, because it gave me experience managing contractors, like a couple dozen contractors across a large project, and they were reassured to see that I had the ability to work with vendors from, specialists from various industries, and had the ability to speak with them and get what I needed out of them to get a project completed. So even though it wasn't directly applicable to the work I immediately did outside of graduating, it was viewed as a huge plus that I had that skill set.
Thank you.
Yep, and I did, like I said, the Muse research for my summer going into my junior year, and then I did an internship at Lockheed in New Jersey going into my senior year, and that was helpful for me because it was in mechanical engineering design, a group in the mechanical engineering design, but also it gave me an opportunity to apply, at the end of that internship to what they're called leadership development programs. So they have like ELDP, which is engineering leadership development, OLDP operations. So those are 3-year programs, and a lot of companies have them, and you kind of get to do different rotations, once a year or twice a year, and gives you an opportunity to kind of go to different areas. Like I'm in Texas because of the program, so it makes you expand your horizon. So the internships are definitely an important thing, and they'll help you in your career.
Thank you. Yeah, and in study abroad, I have seen students utilizing that, and when they come back and they have gone to UK, they have gone to Spain, they have gone to Australia is very popular for some reason. So they have gone there and they come back and they say that it has been such an enriching experience for them. So the only thing I would suggest that if you are planning for study abroad, that plan early and we work with all the students and then make sure that they graduate on time. So this is what our focus is, that all our students should graduate in 4 years. They should not take, we like them so much, but we also want to leave college and join the workforce. Uh, so this is what we want. So we work with them, and that's what you need to do as well. If that's your intention, make sure that you let us know, and so that we can work with you and in your chosen place that where you want to go. So there is a question that how easy, uh, Sam is asking, how hard is it to switch from one field of engineering to another? I'm assuming that the Sam is asking during the course of study. That's what I'm asking. If that's different, then you may please correct me. So the first year is uniform for all. It's everybody takes the same thing. So in within 1 year, if you think that one major is not right for you, so you can always make that switch. You can always apply. So that's the competitive process. So for example, coming into mechanical engineering is very, very competitive. So we receive most number of applications and we do not see many students leaving, and sometimes zero student leaves. So, but a large chunk of applications that we get. So all disciplines or all majors are different. So, but the first year is common to all, but you can apply to other majors. So every in every cycle or in every semester, you can apply. So there will be two chances to submit your application for change of major. So that's how it is. So easy or difficult depends upon is the department or the program is at capacity or not. So that's how, but there is a process and students do that. Okay. Uh, so Thomas is asking about COVID-19 and online schooling. This fall, it was mostly online. In spring, there may be some courses which are called flex mode. So in which there may be some students participating in class and will be teaching via Zoom, just like we are doing now, Zoom. So that's what there will be, it will be there, over there. But we are using different technologies, for example, using iPads or where we can write as a whiteboard and such. Uh, so, so that's how it looks like now. And if when the things improve and hope the vaccine is here and things get better all along, so we should be able to resume. But we are trying our best, and that's what spring looks like. So there are different courses, either they are in remote mode or they're in flex mode. So when students can go and see what courses are being offered. For labs, we are offering kits for them, which they can use at home and then do the experiment and then do their work. Sometimes we provide and offer videos and data to them, which they can work around. I hope that answered. Uh, so question is by Rayon, what material did you make the planes out of? And did you use 3D printing, laser cutter? What did you do? Good question.
I could start.
Really?
Oh, sorry. Do you want to go ahead, Emily?
No, I was just gonna say I don't even know if I can remember. It's so long ago. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, just a couple. We used, a lot of different types of wood, mostly balsa wood. We used a little bit of carbon fiber for our booms that connected to the tail, and we actually did 3D print a few parts of our plane as well. So we tried to use a little bit of everything. At least the last couple of years when we've got the nice 3D printers and all that. So.
Yeah, just echoing Chris, same thing, carbon fiber, balsa wood, some things that maybe you weren't really used to using or had heard of before then. At least with that project, the group that sponsors it, they change the requirements every year. So it's not just like a boring iteration over making something from last year slightly better. They change the design requirements to make it interesting each year. But yep, for all I know, one year they'll say you can't use a certain material just to force people to try it a different way.
Okay, so Chris is asking, can you speak about the labs and resources the school provides? I think we have we provide computing labs, and they are equipped with software, and we also offer software uh, that they can use on their own personal computers if they have one, and they can also access those software via VMware and such. So that's one thing that we offer. So software and this, and you can also utilize like Chris and Brian said, that you can also utilize our very detailed and very well equipped machine shops. We have 3D printers, we have all those CNC and laser cutters, water jets, and all those things. So that's what you can provide. So whatever needs to make you successful, that's what we offer. And I hope that answered your question. Okay, so let me ask you one thing. How does your day look like? You are working. We are working professionals, all three of you, right? So how does your day look like? What do you do?
Hey, so this is Brian. I'll take a shot at it first. I think each week I start the week hoping there's some semblance of structure, and then quickly things kind of go off the rails. That's, I think, part of your education is preparing for the unexpected coming up. The particular project I work on is recovery systems for aircraft carriers. So every now and then there's an incident with an active carrier that suddenly becomes the priority of the day, even though you have a project that you're working on in the meantime. But for the most part, we have some semblance of structure. I get to work with engineers designing systems, running analysis for when we experience issues in the fleet. We have a huge manufacturing facility on site, so I get to work with our manufacturing department on prototyping and building production units. And then we've got a whole slew of logisticians and other folks that help us ensure we've got a sufficient supply chain for the Navy. So that's my day-to-day. Is every day is a little bit different, and you just kind of have a project focus to keep you on the right path and go from there.
I can go next. So I'm going to talk about what it was like for me when I was a system engineer, because that's the job that I did that was right out of college and kind of most directly related to mechanical engineering. So that job was very interesting. I was at one of our nuclear plants, and technically as a system engineer, you're the system manager. So a system might consist of, a pump and a strainer, valves and pipes, and you're the owner of that. So you do a lot of performance monitoring and trending of different components. You are trying to optimize the preventative maintenance that you're going to do on your system. So, hey, we replace the pump every 10 years, but it really should be every 8 years because it's starting to degrade. You do everything from doing inspections in the field and getting kind of, crawling in dirty pipes and cool stuff like that, if you like that, to presenting to senior management on, hey, I need $2 million to upgrade XYZ. So that first role I had as a system engineer was just a really, it just gave me such a good base of a lot of different skills. Like I said, presenting to senior management, a little bit of project management, some very technical stuff, and as well as, getting to do a lot of work in the field. And the last thing I'll say is, like Brian said, some days you come in and you think your day is going to go a certain way, and then something breaks and you're doing a 180 and you're figuring that out. So if you like troubleshooting and problem solving and that kind of stuff, that really is what I got to do every day. And while I did it, it was really, I loved it. So.
Thank you, Emily.
Yep, and I'll just add on to what Emily's saying. I'm actually a manufacturing engineer right now, currently working on the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. I don't know if you guys are familiar. It's a fighter jet that we build for the U.S. government as well as several international customers. So it's a huge program. And right now it's very busy. It's always busy towards the end of the year because you need to, get your deliveries out. We have, a customer requirement every year. It's different amount of jets that we need to deliver on time. So usually this last 2-month period is the most hectic. So it's what I'm doing right now is a lot of the corrective action side of it. So out on the flight line is where I work. So when they're, flying, doing the test flights for the jet, something will happen, and they'll have to, go through and figure out, what's wrong, and if it's a repetitive defect, you'll create, issues and do root cause corrective action. You'll work with engineering, you'll work with quality engineering, supply chain if there's disruptions like due to COVID. So you do really get to work with all the different organizations within your company, and and you get that hands-on exposure too. You get to go on the jet, around the jet, and see what went wrong. So having, I wouldn't say I'm heavy in the design, but still working closely with engineering and the technical drawings and all those things. So I like it. It's a good, best of both worlds for me.
Okay, thank you. I encourage the audience to post questions, and then we can so that we can answer them. So please keep that questions flowing. And if you think that your question hasn't been answered, you may please repost it. It may have been there have been so many messages. I'm trying to cover them all, but there might be some that I might have missed. So please do.
I did see one that asked specifically about PSEG that I can answer real quick if that's okay.
Yeah, could you please?
Let me find it. It says, how does working for PSEG relate to mechanical engineering?
Yeah.
So I just went over a little bit about, kind of what I did. And I like what Chris just said, because it kind of reminded me, you do a lot of causal evaluations as well. So if a piece of equipment breaks, you kind of have to figure out what happened and why. So the nuclear plant, at least, that's what I would say about mechanical engineering. Now, PSEG is a huge company, and the nuclear plants are only about 1/10 of the size of our company. We have engineers through the whole company. They design, our distribution systems and our gas pipelines. So there are a lot of opportunities for engineers of all fields and mechanical engineers. And I would just encourage you. I know they're posting jobs all the time. So, obviously on there, this is not a plug for PSCG, but the question got asked. So just make sure you check. But yeah, it's a big company all over New Jersey and even in other states. And I can't really speak to the ones that I haven't done myself, but I know that we're always hiring for good engineers.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So what is the best part of your job that you do, that you love? Absolutely.
For me, it's getting to see something from start to finish. So kind of from something broke to, getting to see it fixed, or maybe even, going and getting money and getting that thing upgraded. And now it's like the nice, shiny new piece of equipment. That is very satisfying. And sometimes those kind of things can take multiple months or even years to kind of see through. But I sound a little bit like a project manager, and that's not really what I mean, but just seeing something from start to finish and kind of being able to look back and say, I was a big part in this and making this happen is my favorite part of my job.
Okay. Brian?
Yeah, so expanding on that same exact thought, I remember we had videos the first time our aero design plane took off, and I remember that moment of accomplishment there. It didn't even compare, though, to the accomplishment I've gotten in my professional career. Chris has talked about he's working on the F-35 program. I've also worked on that program from the government side of the fence. And anytime we've stood up a new operational base and you think, oh my God, we just delivered 2,500 pieces of equipment and now there's 25 aircraft that are up and operational at that site because of the work me and a handful of other people did to pull that together. And obviously the extended team, like Chris and folks that are on the design side and the manufacturing side, there's just huge senses of accomplishment each time you complete a project or even a subset of a major project.
Thank you. Chris?
Yep. And I'll just add real quick, just, like you said, seeing the final product, and, when you're at the facility that's, making the jet, you get to see it through the entire build process. So it's really cool to see, how many people are involved in making one jet, and flying it and all the, everything that goes into it. It's incredible to see kind of the work that goes into, to that final product.
Thank you. Yeah. So we have one question by B. Paliwal. Uh, I apologize if I mispronounced the name, but maybe it's a username. So I think there is a theme here in these questions. What they want to know is that what you learned, is that what you do or what you use? So here the exact question is, so maybe we can elaborate on that again. So in your work, do you do more presentations or working with your hands? Are the hands-on type clubs and activities that you can do in college and high school similar to what you do at work? Who wants to take that?
I can start again. So for me, it's kind of flip-flopped. When I first started my career as a system engineer, I would say it was more hands-on. So walking around the plant, doing inspections type work. I left that job after about 5 years because the work-life balance was a little challenging sometimes. You know, you get called in or have things happen in the middle of the night. And, you know, I was getting ready to start a family and thought maybe I want something a little more, you know, office based, and that's kind of the work I do now. I'm still at the plant, you know, occasionally, but it's not as field based as what I used to do. So I would say now I'm more, you know, I'm in an office environment. Now with COVID, I've been working from home since March. So I would say I've kind of transitioned in my career, but the good thing is I was able to stay at PSEG and kind of figure out, hey, I want to do that next, and stay with, you know, with the same company and build on relationships and try a little bit of a different role and build on, you know, my engineering background and still be able to do that. I hope that answers the question. Sorry.
You can have a follow-up question, Manish Paliwal. You can, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to take a stab at that one too. I feel like anytime we've had panels for prospective students or even current students, hey, am I going to apply what I'm learning in class? The one thing that I would say is, for starters, it'll definitely make you more well-rounded. Will you use 100% of what you learn in your immediate job or in your career? Not necessarily, but if you think your education stops after TCNJ, you're wrong. You're going to continue learning, whether it's on-the-job experience or formal training. And so having that ability to prove to yourself that, hey, I can master all of these different disciplines in a short amount of time gives you the confidence to continue to learn and develop. And you will eventually bounce back at some of them. I haven't personally done analysis work in 10 years, but and as a project manager now, when I have an analyst show me the results of something they're working on that influences a design decision, I can review it with confidence that I understand it, even if I personally wasn't the one running the analysis at this point in my career. So it's definitely valuable, everything that I learned. I might not touch everything day to day, but it gives you that confidence that you have the right breadth of knowledge.
Thank you. Chris?
Yeah, I don't have too much more to add to, you know, what they said. You know, it's mostly about the work ethic, right? So you may not use everything that you learn, but it's more of, you know, going through those processes and working hard. You're gonna learn, you know, throughout your career, and when you take a new job, it's going to be new. Everything's going to be new. But you know, you'll have, you know, the knowledge base to pull from, and you'll also know that, you know, I did 4 years of, you know, mechanical engineering at TCNJ, and that's a lot of work. So I can, you know, do whatever they throw at me and just take those challenges. And even if you're, you know, nervous, you know, it's worth always kind of going outside your comfort zone.
Okay. So the idea is that you have a strong foundation with this education, and then you can build on it. Essentially, that's what it comes down to. Is there any skill that you think that you should have got while at TCNJ and which you didn't? Any particular training or skill or?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not just to sell TCNJ, but no, I honestly feel like anything that I learned past TCNJ was very peculiar to the application in my field. I think TCNJ gave me the right foundation for my job.
Okay, thank you. So there is one question, last question, I think. Do you do any traveling, domestic, international in your job?
Yes, not recently with COVID, but yes, traveled extensively. Working in the Department of the Navy, I worked in a branch that fields equipment. So fortunately, the Navy is by water, so I've been to a lot of wonderful places along the water around the entire United States. I've been to all kinds of places internationally. Bahrain was a really interesting experience. Japan, I've been to a few times. Yeah, plenty of travel if you're up for it.
So Sebastian, if this is what you like, yeah, so you have your answer, all right? Okay, so one final piece of advice for future engineers, each of you. What would you advise them?
So I'll go first. So I was thinking about this a little bit before the meeting, and I was a supervisor of engineers for about a year as one of my roles. And I think for me, what it comes down to is be a problem solver. And when I say that, what I mean is, especially when you're new in your role, you're going to come in and you're going to question things and see things, and it's going to be like, well, why do we do it this way? This doesn't make sense to me. Don't ever be afraid to bring those things up, because that is so valuable to an organization. But I also, my advice would be, do a little research and try to solve the problem, you know, even if it's for 10 minutes before you kind of bring that problem up, because it's really helpful, especially like if you're the manager, to say, hey, I found that this is wrong, but I also looked at these 3 things and I know they're not the answer. Or I figured out that, okay, it can't be this, it might be this. We're going to have to look further into this. Just starting to do that and take that initiative and be that problem solver is so invaluable. And it's kind of something that you can't teach. So if you can kind of train your mind to sort of, yes, identify the problem, but also start kind of looking for the solution. I think if you have that mindset, it'll kind of take you in any job that you want to do.
Very sound advice. Thank you, Emily. Brian?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this one as well before we had the call. I think to me, the biggest piece of advice would be, don't view college as, hey, I'm just here to check the boxes, to complete courses, to complete exams, to complete homework. You're in a unique environment where you've got access to very intelligent professors, to labs, to lab technicians, and to your peers who all have their own unique experience and background. Take advantage of that. You're there to learn. Make sure that that's a priority, is learning. I said earlier, education doesn't stop with your undergraduate degree. You're going to continue learning, and you're going to continue to work in teams and network with people. So take full advantage of the whole college experience, not just, hey, I got to pass this course to check another box.
Yeah, and they kind of touched on both of the main things I wanted to, the problem solving and then that learning mindset, always trying to learn more. But what I will also say is what kind of separates you, you have that technical experience as an engineer, but in the workforce, you need to be able to communicate, right? That's a huge thing. Being able to network and be personable will also, set you apart. So just taking the opportunities, in college to, do that presenting. You might feel uncomfortable, right? But everybody feels uncomfortable when they're presenting in front of an audience, but just the more you do it, the better you will get. And if you can be a good communicator as well as have that technical expertise, then you're going to set yourself up well for the future.
Very nice. Thank you for your word of advice. So this is where we were. So these are some dates that you would like to consider. Early decision is due this January 1, 2021. It's good to be in 2021, right? So it's and general admission is due in February 1, 2021. So please keep that in mind. You can become a TCNJ Lion, right? At the top, it says become a TCNJ Lion. You can become that. And you can find yourself when you become me or mechanical engineer, if that's how you want to translate it. So these are, so we had a conversation here, but it doesn't stop here. So here is my email address, paliwal@tcnj.edu. Please send engineering questions to me. If there are any non-engineering questions which don't relate to mechanical engineering, then you can send to admissions, which is admiss@tcnj.edu. And the website of the program is mechanicalengineering.tcnj.edu, or you can simply ask Google. Google is very smart. You can just ask TCNJ Mechanical Engineering, and then it will make sure that you get to the right place where you intend to be. So with that, I thank our panelists, our audience for their presence and sharing their kind wisdom. So thank you all and have a very good night.